Alright, we hit the mid-game. It's time to find out what happens when these players have their ideal setup. No one's really messed with anyone at this point. I mean, 300 units lost for both, or 300 resources lost for both. That's nothing, man. It's pennies, man. It's like a small blind. Who cares, man? Don't defend it. Let it go. Either way, welcome to Daily 626 Part 2, where we're looking at the TVT. Let's hop on into it. In Part 1, we looked at the build orders, how they got here, what the setup is/was, and now TaeJa has begun to see a big ol' slew of them mech units, and we're going to see him just do little adjustments on his production. And honestly, the biggest decisions for TaeJa are going to come with what his add-ons are on these barracks. So it's very easy to think defensively from the mech point of view. We're just going to get a bunch of tanks out of these two factories and we're going to siege up. Cool, we're defended. But how do we attack? How do we not stay really stale and really slow and really defensive? Armory hasn't even begun upgrading, but this barracks is going to be quite key getting the reactor for the starport. Weirdly, an active starport is way more important than a fourth factory. Whoa, I just hit the Z button. Or I can hit the Shift Z button and get way far away. But this is just so important. Because if you lose control of the skies to the bio player, you die so fast. It's one of the fastest ways to die in the history of fast ways to die. I mean, like, faster than, like, jumping into that pool of stuff that the Terminator jumped into at the end of Terminator 2. You will just get slain in a matter of seconds. But, alas, I'm digressing. Yeah, you really need control of air, because he'll just drop you. Oh my god, it's a kitty. You want to come up, Edgar? Hey, Edgar. Edgar. No. Ow. Ow, your sharp claws. There's a cat under my feet. Come here, Edgar. Come here, you're gonna be a star. Ow, ow, shit. Ow. It's Edgar. It's Edgar the cat. Edgar. Edgar, quickly, get me to Reddit, Edgar. Oh, that's a plate. Do you want to investigate that plate? Ow, God. Tristan needs to trim this cat's claws, man. He just clawed me, and now he's rubbing against my legs. What? Who does that? Who does that, really? Who? I'm like, I feel really miffed right now, man. It's like being in the movie theater, like reaching to hold your girlfriend's hand, and she just like slaps you in the face, and then leans against your shoulder warmly. I'm getting mixed signals, man. Okay. Now we see out of... Oh, hey, yeah. One of the big things is when we look at this, we're like, oh, hey, that looks like TVP, right? We got the 2 barracks with the reactors. We got the 3 barracks with the tech lab. We're just going to be going for a lot of Marauders. Pretty easy to find out at this point in time if he's going mech or not, because, you know, these Hellions will be revealed. But look at the map control techniques right away that we're going to be seeing out of Innovation. The fact that he's starting to move really far forward with all of these flying units, and he's doing it in coordination with the Hellion movement. It's not just, let me send these forward. It's a whole mix of vision. He's scooping out vision throughout the map, so then he can just do a simple little harassment like this. By the way, what's really cool is just to send the SCV into the refinery and then it goes in. It's really, really cool. So great, we got our opponent a little bit on the back foot. Now, the one thing that... Oh, hell yeah. God, I love TaeJa. God, you're so easy to talk about, TaeJa. What a freaking genius. It's really easy to go into TVP mode and to flood all the barracks. Indeed, we're going to see TaeJa do a lot of great tactics. But most importantly, we're going to see that the tank count from TaeJa has to stay high. Because if you can't lock off positions like this with a couple of siege tanks, or later on with lots of siege tanks, little forces like this aren't going to do anything. So TaeJa, of course, upgrading, of course, trying to do a little bit of harassment, but the tanks are the real defensive linchpins. This is so important. It's like a house, no matter how great of architecture and how cool the material and how cleverly you place your drywall, it doesn't matter unless you have like solid beams supporting the whole house, and that's exactly what these siege tanks are. Guys, I don't know anything about constructing houses. I hope that was true. And we see 2 more factories plopping down, and we will soon enough see the ever critical importance of this here starport. So we're also seeing a very similar formation over here in TaeJa's base. See, look at this. Wait, look at TaeJa's base. Starport with reactor. And then 5 core structures with 3 tech labs and 2 reactors. And over here, starport with reactor. And then 5 core structures, the factories, with 3 tech labs and 2 reactors. Ah, I'm seeing similarities all over the place. Great sensor tower placement, immediately trying to do spotting for any potential dropping that could happen. And in the weak spot of that vision radius, tons of turrets coming down because this central area is so stupidly important. I mean, that is got to be the most important part of the entire game, is just making sure you don't get drop-head. This cat is just, he loves my left leg. He loves it. These little harassments, I think, are a really good example of the self-control of TaeJa, or excuse me, of Innovation. It's a little tiny force. He has plenty of other Hellions back here, but I mean, he's not trying to just go nuts. A single drop. Oh, remember when this was unfair? Well, it's okay now. Single bunker in the back. TaeJa's much less worried about drops occurring in his main base, just because the incidence of medevacs is going to be so much lower. Now, normally, when we see mech players play, we see extreme slow play because it's too hard to get into good positions. Not Innovation. Both these players are playing pretty passively. I mean, a lot of it has to do with waiting for all the upgrades to finish, stim and combat shield. I mean, there's pokes. There was like a medevac poke up here a little while ago. A long while ago, there was like a banshee poke going on. But I mean, guys, lighten up with all the aggression, man. Just wait till it's time. Wait till you're ready. I mean, I've never had a Hot Pocket that I was so eager to eat that I was willing to let one of those little pockets of frozen chill ruin my day. Yeah, what's going on, Edgar? I moved the desks. That means it must be an entirely new desk. Yeah, let's... Oh, if you unplug my computer again... Oh, shit, he's behind the computer. If I go offline, it's because this cat... Edgar. Hi. He's rubbing his face all over everything. Edgar the cat. Ugh. Welcome back. Hey, yeah, do you want to be pet? Okay. Okay, I'll pet you. Okay, cool. So right now, let's look at the engagement cam from TaeJa. Swarming in on those Hellions. Not messing around.
Upgrade complete.
And as he advances forward, we see really smart moves going down. Scanning to just make sure that there's sieged stuff there. Sensor tower to avoid counterattacks, which TaeJa is all up on top of on. With the exception of this one supply depot, but nails it. Now with a big bioforce like this, it is okay to do a mortal sin, which is to go around and attack at other angles. A lot of times, attacking like this is super dangerous because you've left this attack path open. Against the immobile mech forces, this is great. So let's see how this bio, as I was talking about earlier, is going to be the sort of nimble force that darts around, and how these siege tanks are going to be functioning. Like the stands to our house. This is just good micro. This is just good spreads. But what do you know, Joe? Loads up, and the tanks get to stay. Just controlling this position. I mean, sure, Innovation can elect to engage unprofitably if he wishes. But TaeJa has all the permission in the world to do a drop up here. Has all the permission in the world to stay there if he feels his force is good enough. All thanks to the tanks. Thanks to tanks. An even mix of tech lab and reactor. Generally like a 2-to-1 sort of thing. 5 tech labs, 3 reactors, just generally good numbers to keep in the back of your head. It's all going to be positioning stuff. So, alright, cool. What's going down in camp? You want to be pet so bad. Oh my god. Come here if you sit on my lap. You know what? Where's the towel? Where's the towel? What if I put this towel on my lap? What do you think of that? Yeah, this is really interesting, isn't it? This is a good show. Come here, Edgar. Fuck. Ow. Fuck. Come here. Come here. What do you think about that? No, you don't like that at all, Edgar. This cat. Just alright, fine. Here, let me put the towel down. What? The towel moved. It must be an entirely new towel. Let me take a look at that. Alright, he's gonna go hide under the desk. And he's gonna rub against my foot. It's really distracting when there's a cat rubbing against your foot and you're a ticklish person. So TaeJa is just doing the usual expected thing. Poking, trying to find vulnerabilities, can take seemingly risky positional movements just due to the fact that this is by and large a very slow army. But what's cool that's happening in Camp Innovation is the number of medevacs. 6 medevacs out right now. Notice the lack of medevacs, just about 5. Normally would like to think of... No, don't chew on the cords. Jesus. Why would you chew on a cord that has electricity going through it? God, these cats don't think. They're like 3rd graders. Alright, I'm sorry. Okay. So these little drops are good. Good way for Innovation to begin to peel forward. To begin to deal little bits of damage. Obviously not doing amazingly new, innovative stuff at this point in time. But TaeJa's just sort of working his way back and forth. What were the big vulnerable spots? Well, we definitely know that up here is one, because if we get sieged up there, we get a bunch of tanks like this. We can pick off this segment. Oh my god, the other cat's meowing like crazy. Oh my god, at the break, I gotta make sure these cats aren't exploding. We got the usual build-up phase. Here's the phase of build order that gets talked about probably the least. That is a loud cat, man. What is going on in there? Are these cats just like running around, biting electric cables, finding any foot and wiggling against it? Can you? Yeah, you can hear the cat. Cat's like in the kitchen. That's like way the other. Meow, meow. This cat is ruining everything. Hey, Sabin. Hey. Hey! Oh, Sabin, hey! Sabin, come here. Come here. God, if this were a dog, it would have been like on my lap and excited. Come here. Come here, let's get you some. Hey, oh, you got another cat. Yeah, let's hang out here, Sabin. Sabin's a cool cat. Yeah. Yeah, what's up here? Let's go investigate the desk. Cats don't love me. Cats hate me. Cats despise me. Alright, we're 20 minutes into a 53-minute game, man. That cat is like the fuzziest cat in the universe. God, I love Sabin. He's so cool. He just sits next to me and just gets pet on. Alright, so that was a key moment of the game that we just completely missed because of cat. There's actually root cats in this house. Okay. So one big build transition that we see out of many mech players is lots of command centers in the end because of 2 reasons. One, we can't quite spend our money in the late game, which generally creates the illusion that mech requires not a lot of minerals because we seem to have minerals left over. It's super important. Only at the really late game do we have excess minerals that we can't think of a way to spend. So we just spend them on command centers so we can begin sacrificing SCVs and replacing them with mules. And the transition on the bio end of things is into additional starports to transition into battle cruisers, or more commonly known as cattle bruisers. Often you'll see players, as they're doing this, get ravens before they wind up getting the BCs. So little tiny pushes like this are not designed to kill off workers and to do bone-crushing damage to infrastructure. It is designed to get this force out of position. Like right here. Very simple one. We create a threat in 2 places. We get it out of position, and that's when we do the real damage. I mean, certainly you can get a force out of position and do a doom drop in the back, but it's getting increasingly hard. And this is where we're really going to see the sexiness come up out of Innovation. This is the part where I was just like, well, TaeJa's got this one on lockdown. It's going to be very hard to do much. I guess Innovation's going to have to play it so unbelievably slow. We see yet another nice bust-in. And TaeJa is always going to be happy to take inefficient trades like this. He's always going to be happy to waltz up, lose half of his bio army to pick off some stray tanks. Because then, remember these tanks that I've been talking about since the start of the game, how it's important to have a lot, and why TaeJa got 2 factories up super early. I think he might even have a third. He has 2 for now, but third one, nothing wrong with that. So he can get into this position. Bio is for the mobility, but gosh, is it critical to have all those tanks up. And then this becomes enough. But the real way that we see Innovation counter is first he gently sweeps forward, gently tries to pick off huge packs of bio, and once this bio is in the wrong spot, that's when the big drop will happen. But nothing wrong with just doing these simple little tiny drops. And we also see now why having this big swell of Vikings is important. Look at the vision. Actually, the scan just went down. Let me back up 10 seconds. Will these players ever not be scanning? Yeah, look at TaeJa's vision. He has some inklings of what's going on, but he's got to spend scans. Meanwhile, these Vikings provide complete and total vision coverage of this front line. Innovation can easily see where all the tanks are. Look, there's no scans going on right now, and look at what Innovation sees. Contrast this with what TaeJa sees. TaeJa has no idea where any of this army is, save for one blip there. And Innovation sees everything. That's what Viking control does. That's what air control does. Little harassment, good stuff. Picking off more medevacs, gooder stuff. And the big moment happens when suddenly unsieged tanks are spotted. Unsieged tanks, it's a nice little vulnerability. You can still engage without unsieged tanks. Dropping Hellions on siege tanks is so great. Innovation, expanding nearby his army. This seems like the most natural place to expand to, but it's almost unprotectable if you're meching. This for TaeJa, this is honestly another way of being like, well, you know, I hope I mine this out as quickly as possible so I can begin to take that. And, oops, I glossed past the battle while showing the counterattack. Even without some significant dropping, Hellbats are damn good at doing these pushes. And the greatest part is these medevacs just ripping down everything, looking so good. This is where I started to see Innovation branch away from my usual set of knowledge. Like, I mean, both players are just macroing up, getting a lot of factories and barracks. Should be like 8 and 11 or something like that right now. Oh, just 8 and 8. Great. Almost all players are just going Viking Hellbat Siege Tank at this point in time. Bam! But not Innovation. Suddenly begins to flood a lot of Widow Mines at a very odd time. We're also seeing the Hellbats get dropped on top of the Marauder forces rather than the tanks. The Marine counts are not really very high. Marauders are not fantastic against Hellbats. So we see just these hyper-efficient trades. Normally a Marauder will not get 6 kills in a mineral line, but let's see what comes out next from our good friend Innovation. Now what we're seeing out of TaeJa is we're going to be seeing, as the push breaks, the push has just been broken, small forces moving out like this. Why does it work? Because we have these core pillars of our force, the tanks, up at the backside. pretty easy to just explain this and that. Little harassment from TaeJa, and of course this and that continued little expandings. But what position is TaeJa really looking to exploit? He's looking to exploit this upper ridge area all along here. This is almost impossible. You have to like siege tanks here to prevent that up, which would of course bring vulnerabilities on the top side. And then swing down assaults like this. Pushes up in mid should be contributing to that. Gosh, I'm just admiring the big Venn diagram set of sensor tower visions. So all of a sudden, we start to see some really sort of funky interaction breakdown with these Widow Mines here. Great way to pick off some excess Vikings throughout all this. Really simple way to prevent Marauders and Marines from getting too close. Not tons of Widow Mines, just a little bit. We already see the Viking going down. Very hard to engage this when TaeJa is so far behind on tanks. And also in this moment, when all the Hellbats are down, this is going to happen very high percentage of the time. And that's the other big purpose of the mines. I mean, they all just died, but with mines, that's a really easy way to just kill a whole bunch of medevacs. It's kind of hard to spot all the mines. But this battle went great for TaeJa. And why did it go well for TaeJa? I'm going to continue to re-look through this one battle. Setting up here, TaeJa is trying to get a good angle. The mines move up to the front. It's this set of units, just these tanks actually up here at the front. These 4 tanks that are just a little bit too far extended. This is what happens when you just click, you right-click and say go. Occasionally units will just pathfind their way into being up at the front here. And these units just sort of wrapped around on all sides. Also, these mines are now part of this sort of vulnerable extension up at the front that we see. Very nice positioning cut from TaeJa. Let's imagine for a moment that this whole big thing were not here. It's still the same thing. These tanks formed this bar. So the bad angles of attack would be above or below, but the left and the right are the points where there's the big vulnerabilities. And then tragically the mines are dead. Really cool back and forth action. So I think TaeJa's going to do the smart move, which is to again try to engage into some direct position, and then he's just going to be exploiting this top ridge, very hard to defend, and this bottom ridge. Why? Because those are too far apart places. And that's how Mech works. At the earliest sign of vulnerability, TaeJa will try to hurl a ton more units than really seems. Actually, I got distracted by that cat meow. I'm like worried about these cats. They like never meow. Are you okay? Is everything cool? Are you cool, cats? All right. I'm gonna assume that the cats are okay. But oh hi. Hey, what's up? Hey, Sabin. Do you want to come up? I've never known what it's like to feel this unloved before. Never known. Oh, he's stretching. Oh, he's okay. Everything's okay. Alright, so what I actually meant to say is that in Bio versus Mech, if there's a little bit of weakness, the big thing that all Mech players need is positioning, which is a very abstract notion. If this positioning falls, this expansion dies. It's a very sort of obvious position to lose. But the reason we want to be attacking this position is it makes this expansion vulnerable and this expansion vulnerable. And similarly, if we attack down here, it makes this bottom one vulnerable and this one vulnerable. So very often you'll see the Bio player making inefficient trades. This has the potential to go very badly for the Bioing player, for him to lose a lot of stuff. But that's okay, because he can siege his tanks up and gobble up this key position. So, alright, Mech players will always stabilize eventually, because they have this back line of tanks. So what's next? Well, TaeJa's going to get in the middle, and then he's going to try to work his way down along this bottom and up along this top side as the two big vulnerable positions. The sort of hidden, unsung hero of late game is Thors, because if siege tanks shoot Thors, it does no splash damage to neighboring units. This is overall a pretty weak engagement from Innovation. So in another brilliant and correct move, just dropping to try to break the position. Even though we see it's kind of even looking supplies and Innovation looks to be losing ground, or excuse me, Innovation looks to be sort of recovering and holding this ground, look at how far dented in he is. If TaeJa can shut down this expansion, he'll win purely by having more expansions. And I mean, Innovation's doing a brilliant job of just trying to constantly harass. We're going to go just a little bit farther. This part 2 is going to be longer because I was worried about the cats. Getting distracted by the cats, making sure the cats are okay. Never really heard a cat meow before. This is clearly not going to work, but also clearly is recoverable. Just send the things in to deal the damage. What I'd love to see is, as that drop was literally just chilling there, for this small force to be going up and assaulting this base. And again, we see the same idea that, yeah, this is kind of a hard spot to hold, this whole top ridge. If we attack below and then attack on high, we're in good shape. Oh, look at us, we're going to the vulnerable spot up top. Two Hellbats did a hell of a lot more damage than they really should. And we're going to watch one more big play from TaeJa, who continues to sort of join his forces together in mid. But then to do just these big sweep around attacks, we'll actually get a sort of look at what he's up to by picking up his vision, and we'll start to see all the scans going down. So he scans, he sees this, so of course he's going to be planning to do a drop. And it's not even really a huge committal drop to this expansion or this main base. It could be either or neither. It could pull back. But this is the most explicit form of what we were talking about earlier. Huge amounts of units going to be in a trade that's probably going to go poorly for TaeJa. He's probably going to lose more units than his opponent. However, it gives him an opportunity to get into a better position. Normally, TaeJa would also, in coordination with that, be sending all these forces, all these guys, right here. Why would they go there? Because here's the tank line, and if we make the bar, the wide sides of the bar are the weak angles of attack, like here. It's this point, this tip, with just two tanks. I mean, if we siege up right here, we pick off these two tanks and we're in good shape. Hellbat drops are really being annoying. So, I mean, Innovation is only really staying alive in this game. This play from TaeJa should have won the game. It should have caused this to get broken and for Innovation to soon run out of money. But here we see Innovation was able to hold this off, and then the counter drop prevented this little pick off at that point. And as we go just a little bit farther, TaeJa's just regrouping, etc., etc., etc. We're seeing no dropping. We're seeing the sensor tower walks forward as Innovation establishes this whole line. Innovation is playing a little bit from behind. Has 63 SCVs. Don't really want that right now. Kind of want closer to 50. But, oh yeah, this is what I love. Here's a great move. Okay, so this. We talked about this point being weak. That's exactly where he's going. He's assaulting the point, and boom, has just broken his way through. Took a while to replenish this many tanks. So he waited until he had a great tank count. And perfect, doesn't need to kill the expansion. He just needs to hold this position and force inefficient trades. And likewise, Hellbat drops from Innovation are super profitable. It's very difficult for TaeJa to be able to deal with these because he doesn't have a lot of Vikings. He was out Vikinged early on. So I'm just going to halt at this point in time, because part 2 does not end, it just stops. And when we come back, we'll just see the conclusion of the game. As TaeJa continues to blast away, we see that amazingly TaeJa and Innovation are still kind of even in the units lost tab, when it should be a lot more skewed to TaeJa losing a ton and Innovation being hyper efficient. But Innovation's been very, very aggressive with all that excess Hellbat medevac action. And we'll just be back for part 3 to just we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Kitties, are you okay? We're on a break.